Okay, today we're talking about arrays. Arrays can be used in an inventory system. This is going to be a basic text array. Later I will go in a little more detail about arrays, but I'm new to it and I just found a video on YouTube and want to explain it to you, and I'll give you a link to the person's YouTube video on arrays. He doesn't have a download link for the engine for the Game Maker Studios, so I'm going to provide that in my YouTube video. And then if you need more better clarification, then you can I'll put a link up there so you can view his YouTube video, and then it'll better explain it. So I'll explain it the best I can, and then you can view his if you want more explanation. Alright, so basically I made a object controller here. It's just a yellow square, and it's going to be visible in the room. Origins at 0 is 0 for Y and X. Depth's at 0. It's visible. Alright, so I went to Add Event, clicked on a Create, and then I dragged over a coded sheet from the Control tab, and this is what it's I'm doing here. Some kind of like spell, like so. Most games they have like a little square above the game. When the character moves, the square follows you, and that's your inventory system pretty much. And so you'll walk and collect items in the game, and it will show up in the box, in your item box. And so that's how you could do it. But in this example, it's going to be text-based, and you're either pressing the Enter key on your keyboard, or you're going to press the mouse click, which is going to have to be global because it doesn't work with a regular mouse click. It only works on a global mouse click. And I was trying to do a video on how to collect items using a character moving across the screen and collect an item, and it pops up in the box, but at the moment I'm not sure how to do that yet, but I'll show you what I have so far in this video here and to get you started. Alright, so in the beginning, when you first start the game, you don't collect any, you don't have anything collected. So this is what it's stating here. So spell bracket 0 in bracket equals parentheses nothing inside, and then in parentheses up top. So that's basically saying that when you first start the game, you're not going to have any spell in the box until you come across a spell and you collect it by, colliding with it. And then when that happens, then spell 1 will happen, where you're collecting the ice shards. And then you could have a second box when you collect another object called the heal. Then would show up in the second box. The fourth box would be vanish. The fifth would be soul drain, and fourth is the soul drain, fifth is a fireball. And then on the mouse click or the enter button, after spell 5, you press enter. I have a code where it's going to it's not going to let you do anything else. It's going to just stick with fireball. I had to put a code in there for that, because otherwise if you press enter the sixth time, it would pop up an error in Game Maker, because I don't have a if statement. So in this case I have an if statement, so it won't pop up an error. Okay, so casting at 0 equals 0, so that's, I guess, after the fifth spell you don't have anything, so it's going to equal 0. So yeah, so you got to label these with the arrays. So each spell has a number, and it's going to give the name of that corresponding number, which for 2 it's heal, 1 is ice shards, 3 is vanish, 4 is soul drain, and 5 is fireball. So each number corresponds to a name of a spell that you collect when you collide with it, but at the moment you're either pressing the mouse button or the enter button on the keyboard in order to collect it. if I can figure it out, I will do another video on how to collide with an object and collect it that way instead of using the mouse click and the enter button. Alright, so that's the first step in your crate. In the step event, in the add event here, grab a step, bring over another coded sheet, and stating that if casting is, I don't know, I think that's lesser than 4, casting equals 5. So that means I think what that means is once it gets to spell 5, fireball, then it's not going to do anything else when you press the button. Like I said, there's someone that I followed or viewed on YouTube, and he explains it better. But I believe you have to have the statement in here so that way it does. Well, basically, I think it rotates when you keep pressing the mouse button or the enter button. It allows you to rotate through your spells. So you start with 0, which is nothing. Then 1 is something. 2, 3, 4, 5. It allows you to go through the cycle of spells until you get to the last spell, and then it doesn't do anything. Yeah, because if you don't have this information in here in the step event, when you get to the last spell, it'll throw up an error in GameMaker. So that's why this step event is important. So it allows you to cycle through the spells, and it also stops you from cycling after the last spell. And then that's it. It won't let you do anything else. But if this wasn't in here, it would cycle through the spells, but it would throw up an error once it got to the last, once you ran out of spells. So let me show you the example here real quick. So you have nothing because you haven't collected anything yet. Once you press the enter button, you have ice shards. You click on the mouse, global mouse, and you have heal, vanish, soul drain, and then fireball is the last one. When you press enter again, it doesn't do anything. Click on the mouse, it doesn't do anything. If that if statement wasn't in there, it would throw up an error because you have no other spells in the game, and GameMaker doesn't know what to do. So that's why you need that if statement in there in the step event. So it cycles through and it will stop you from going any further because you have no more spells. Alright, and then in the draw event, this is where you put your text in here. In the code, it states that draw underscore text, parentheses, open parentheses, or comma, not comma, but you know, parentheses here, open parentheses, X, Y, comma, spell, bracket, casting, in bracket, in parentheses here. So this is basically stating that it's going to, the X and Y is the position of where the text is going to be located at, and it's going to project the text on screen because you have the draw event in here. If you don't have the draw event in here, the text is not going to show up on screen. And spell casting is what is labeled as. It's labeled as spell casting. So it's labeled spell casting. So that's why the text is like that in the draw event, spell casting. And I think it's in brackets because I think because of these brackets here, but I'm not sure exactly why it's set up like that. Like I said, the other guy that was viewing the video on, he would probably explain it better to you. But like I said, I'm trying to explain it to you as best I can, and then give you the GMX file so you can download it and you can play around with it and understand it that way as well. So in the global left pressed, your casting plus equals 1. So every time you click on the mouse, it's going to rotate to the next spell. Or if you press the enter button, it rotates to the next spell. So I think this will allow you to cycle through the spells, but the if statement stops you from going any further. I think that's what it's talking about. So if I take this if statement out here, this will not work now since I graded it out. And then I go and mess with this. We'll see what happens here. Alright, so there's nothing. Okay, so it allows you to cycle through when I was talking about the mouse click and the enter button. But then you press it one more time, it throws an error. Because you need that if statement in there. Okay, so basically, yeah, so the global press and the enter key, they allow you to cycle through the spells, but the if statement stops you from moving any further than 5 casting spells. Because you only have 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, you have 5 here, so, and this one doesn't count. 2, 3, 4, 5. Because you want it to be blank on screen when you first start, because you haven't got any spells. So I think, and that's pretty much it. And this, I just set a color to yellow, which is in the draw tab event. Grabbed a color, and then the font 0. I created a font here, and I just chose a font in GameMaker Studios selection here, and then made it bold and changed the size to 30. Because if you don't make a font, then your font is automatically chosen by GameMaker, and it's kind of small. Alright, and that concludes this video. Like I said, I'll give you the GMX file, and you can play around with it, and also I'll give you the link for the other YouTube video I was watching to understand how to do arrays. The guy may explain it better to you than I can, and then I will try to do another video on arrays dealing with when a character collides with an object and he collects it in his box above him. Do it that way, because I'm making a game right now and I'm kind of struggling with how I'm going to make my system set up. I've done it the long way and the hard way, using images versus using code-based information when you collect an item. So this is new to me as well, and thanks for watching.